This is Algebra 1, Spring Test number 5, part number 2, picking up on number 11. Tells you to write an inequality for the graph. You can see everything's counting by twos, and you can see that the point that's highlighted is right between 4 and 6. So you can take an estimate that that's going to be the number 5. It's a positive number because it's on the right side of 0. So put x and then put 5, and now we got to come up with an inequality symbol to put in the middle of it. X is first, so we know that whatever way is shaded this way is going to be the way our inequality is going to face. So it's going to face that way. The other thing we got to ask ourselves is do we make it say or equal to or not? Remember, it's an open bubble. That doesn't mean or equal to. So it's simply x is less than 5. Had it been a colored in bubble or darkened in bubble, it would have said x is less than or equal to, but it's not, so it doesn't. Number 12 says Tina can type at least 55 words per minute. Write and graph an inequality to model this situation. So again, x 55, let's come up with what goes in the middle. At least, that means the number x has to be bigger than 55 or equal to 55. So that means Tina does not type 54 words a minute. She types 55 or 56 or 156, something larger than 55. So x, the big mouth has to eat the x because it's the bigger number, but she can type 55. That will suffice. So it'll say or equal to 55. When we graph it, remember you only need to show two numbers. When you're graphing, show the number that you're highlighting, 55, and show its relation with 0, meaning to the right side of 0. You don't need to put a whole bunch of little tick marks and all of that stuff. Okay? If it were negative, we would have those numbers in opposite positions. 0 would be on the right, and negative 55 would be on the left. Then put your bubble at the number you're highlighting. Decide if you need to color it in or not. Remember, it is or equal to this time, so we will color it in. And since x is first, whatever way this is showing, that's the way we're going to shade. It's showing that way, we're going to shade that way. So there's the inequality greater than or equal to 55, and there is the graph that goes along with it. Okay, we're solving inequality, then we're graphing a solution. X divided by 11 is greater than 6. Undo divide by 11 by multiplying by 11. If you do it to one side, it's just the same rules as equations. You do it to the other side. 6 times 11 is 66. So we have x is something 66. We have to decide, do we reverse the symbol or not? We know we reverse the symbol when we multiply by something. So we just multiplied by something, but that's not enough to reverse it. You need to multiply by a negative number. We multiplied by a positive number. So our symbol is going to remain saying x is the same direction, greater than 66. Again, when we graph it, we're going to show 66's relation to 0, so on the right side. We're going to put ourselves a bubble at the 66. We're going to determine that we are not bubbling it in because it doesn't say or equal to. X is first. It's shading everything to the right. Make your shading, or it's facing the right, make your shading go the same direction as the way it's facing. Number 14 is a compound inequality. Notice there are two inequality symbols. Negative 2 is less than or equal to 2x minus 4 is less than 4. Instead of just having a left side and a right side, now we have a left side, a right side, and we got a middle. We still want to get x by itself. That is still the goal. But anything you do to the middle, you got to do to all three parts of it, both the left side, the right side, alongside, and with the middle. Undo your order of operations like you normally do. Undo addition and subtraction first, then multiplication and division, then exponents, then parentheses. So get rid of minus 4 by adding it. If we add it there, add it to the left and the right as well. Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. 2x is going to still be in the middle. 4 plus 4 is going to be 8. You have to decide if you need to reverse the symbols or not. Remember, you only reverse the symbols when you multiply or divide by a negative number. We didn't do either one of those operations, and we didn't do it by a negative number. So we're going to leave this one say less than or equal to, just like it is, and we're going to leave this one say less than. Last step we need to do to get x by itself in the middle is to undo 2 times x. In order to undo 2 times something, we know to divide. To keep x, we're going to divide by 2. Again, whatever we do to the middle, we're going to do to the left, and we're going to do it to the right. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Last thing we have to do is we have to determine, do I reverse the symbols? We divided by 2. Dividing by a number is something you have to do to reverse the symbols, but not by a positive number. You have to divide by a negative number. We don't do that in this case, so we're going to leave the symbols in the same direction they were. That one's going to say less than or equal to. This one is going to say less than. This is a solved graph or solved inequality, just like x is greater than 66 is. Now, graphing this, it's a little bit harder for some people. You want to show two numbers. You don't have to show 0 anymore. Just show the two numbers that you need to highlight, 1 and 4. Just make sure you don't have them on opposite sides. You know that 4 is going to be on the right side of 1 because it's bigger. Now, when you graph this, only graph the one that has x first. That's what I mean by that. Cover up the other part for a second. That says x is less than 4. That means we're going to put ourselves a bubble at 4, and it says less than, it's facing this way. So we're going to shade that way. I'm going to uncover it in a second. Once you have that way shaded, you can extend it like this. Take a look at the other side of the graph, this one. Reorder it to where you can graph it correctly. Put x first and 1 second. Make sure, since the big mouth is eating the x, it's continuing to eat the x. Now graph it the correct way. It says x is greater than or equal to 1. First off, it says or equal to, so unlike the other one, we know we got to color it in. And since x is first now, it's pointing to the right. We can see it's pointing to the right. Shade that direction. So this is what your graph should look like. There's an overlapping area. Remember, with and inequalities, where you have x in the middle with two inequality symbols, there's always going to be an overlapping area. So if you do an and inequality and you got them facing out towards the sides like this, you know you did something wrong with an and inequality. It's not going to look like that. Number 15 asks you to solve the inequality. 6 times p minus 7 is greater than 18. First thing, before you try to undo anything, you have to simplify by multiplying. 6 times p is 6p. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. Is greater than 18. We didn't bring anything across yet. Now you need to start undoing. Undo the minus 42 by adding it to both sides. If you add it here, you know you got to add it to this side. 18 and 42 is 60. So 6p's on the left, 60's on the right. All we did was added 42. We did not multiply or divide by a negative number, so our symbol will remain greater than. Now undo 6 times something by dividing by 6. Again, if you do it to the left, do it to the right. You're left with p there. 60 divided by 6 is 10. Again, one more time, you have to decide, do I reverse the inequality? We divided by a number, but that number was not negative. It has to be a negative. So you're going to leave greater than, say just like that. P is greater than 10. Write a compound inequality to represent the situation, then graph it. Okay, it's a compound inequality because it's going to be two of them put together. At least negative 4. Okay? So write it as two separate ones, and then we'll combine them. X is something negative 4. We did the one with the typing a little while ago. The number was at least 55 words a minute or 65 words a minute or whatever it was. At least means it's going to be bigger than or equal to negative 4. So x has to be bigger than, the big mouth has to eat the big number x. The other one says at most 6. So again, x and 6, we have to determine what to put in there. At most means it's going to be smaller than the number 6. It can be 6, but it's going to be that number or smaller. So the big mouth has to eat the 6 now because it's the bigger number out of it and x. So we have x is greater than negative 4, greater than or equal to negative 4, and we have x is less than or equal to 6. Now here's the key to the last part, to put them together. The key is this little tiny word and right here. If it had said or, we would leave it just like it is and we would write the word or in the middle and be done with it. But it doesn't. It says and. And means the variable is going to be in the middle. X is going to be in the middle. Put the bigger number on the right. Put the smaller number on the left. We have to put two inequality symbols between the variable and the 6 and the -4. Okay. Again, look at, this is the easy way to do this. Ignore this one right here. Make that one match this one. It says x is less than or equal to 6. That's what we're going to make it say. X is less than or equal to 6. The other one has to go the same direction. You can never make it go the opposite direction like this. That doesn't happen with an and inequality or a compound inequality. So make it match the same direction as the one we just put. It says or equal to, so this is going to be your compound inequality. It says to graph your solution. Graph the solution as the two inequalities that are written right above it. -4 is this one, +6 is this one. Graph this one. Less than or equal to 6 means color the bubble in and go this direction. And then graph the other one. It says graph this one. Greater than or equal to -4, color the bubble in again. Greater than is everything that direction. So the overlapping area between those two numbers is where it has to fall. (17) says write the compound inequality. Now, an and inequality will always overlap. We don't have overlapping sections right here. They're going opposite ways. So this is going to be an or inequality. So write them as such. X is something -4 or X is something 1. All you have to do is fill in what that something is. This one, we got the X going first. It's going this direction. So we'll put that symbol. All you have to do to decide from there is, do I make it less than or equal to? It's an open bubble, so you don't. This one is going this direction, the shading. So we'll make that one match that one. All you got to decide from there is it or equal to or not? It's a colored in bubble, so that one will be or equal to. This is your compound inequality. And again, the difference is that little word or versus and. There's no overlap here. X is less than -4 or X is greater than or equal to 1. Solve the equation. Move your smaller 2x over to your larger 4x side by subtracting 2x on both sides. 4x minus 2x is 2x minus 5 equals 3. Move your minus 5 to the other side by adding it. If you add it there, add it here. 2x equals 8. Then get x by itself by dividing by 2. X is 4. (19) says to find the slope. So you need to come up with 2 points that cross through intersections. Not through the middle of 2 lines, but where 2 lines actually intersect. This is a pretty good intersection. This one looks like a pretty good one too. So use those 2. They're not going to be highlighted for you. You could have also used this one as one. So remember, slope is how many times it rises or over how many times it runs, like an elevator on top, and then how many times it runs left or right on the bottom. So we'll just ignore this one. Going from this one to this one, you go down 1, 2, 3. Down 3 is -3. To the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. To the right, 4 is +4. There's your slope. -3 over 4. The only thing you would have to do after that is make sure you can't simplify it. If you ignored that point in the middle and you went from this point to this point, you would have gone down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 6, and to the right 8 times, and you'd have had to simplify it to -3/4. Find the slope for number 20. You don't have a picture, you have 2 points. So you can use the slope formula, the change of y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over the change of x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You can label everything. Or you can say, well, this is y sub 2, -2 minus 6 over, this is x sub 2, 8 minus 5. -2 minus 6 is -8. 8 minus 5 is 3. There's no number that goes into both -8 and 3. Your slope is -8/3. Again, if there is a number that goes into the both of them, simplify it. Find the slope and y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Slope is the m, so your slope is 4/5. Your y-intercept is your b. So your b value is not 5, it's the sign that goes with it. So your y-intercept is -5, very important. Not to forget the negative. Write the equation in slope-intercept form, or it says write an equation with the given slope and y-intercept. It gives you an m and it gives you a b, so write it in y equals mx plus b form. So y equals something x plus something, that's what we're doing. Your m value is -5. So in place of m, -5. Your b value is +5. So in place of b, +5. Y equals -5x plus 5. '23 says write an equation in point slope form through the given point with the given slope. Point slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. We're going to fill those three values in. M is the easiest one because whatever it says, that's what you plug in. It says -2/3, that's what we put there. This is your x value and your y value. They'll represent your sub 1 values. Whatever they say, you plug in the opposite because of the minus. So this right here says x's value is -5. So where it says x sub 1, we're going to plug in the opposite of that, +5. Again, because it was minus. This one right here says y's value is -9. In place of y sub 1, we're going to plug in the opposite of that, +9. This is point slope form. Y plus 9 equals -2/3 times x plus 5. Okay, 24 asks, are the lines parallel? Everybody knows what parallel lines look like as a picture. They know that if you graph them, they would look like that. They would never cross. That's what parallel lines are. The way you can determine if they're... I gotta hurry up and get it. Okay, everybody knows what they look like. They're not going to cross each other, but regarding the way they look as equations, their y equals 2x minus 8, they have the same slope. So when you're looking at the first equation, y equals 2x minus 8, you can see what its slope is. Its slope is 2. So in order for that other equation to be parallel to it, it has to have the same value 2 as its m. We can't see its value as easy though. We have to move that equation, -8x plus 2y equals 16, and we got to make it say y equals mx plus b. So we need to move -8x over by adding it. If you add it there, add it to the other side. You can't put it together with 16. They're not like terms. So you have 2y equals 8x positive 16. That's all we can do is write them next to each other. Divide by 2. Divide everything by 2. And y equals 4x plus 8. Now we can see mx plus b. Now we can see that the slope of the second equation is 4. So m is 4. So all you need to do is compare your two slopes, 2 and 4. They are not the same. All you're looking for is to see if they're the same. Are they parallel? The answer is no. And when it says to explain, it's the simplest explanation you can come up with is they have different slopes. If it were the exact same number, we would say yes, they're parallel, they have the same slope, but they're not because they don't. And then number 25 says write an equation for the line that's parallel to the given line passing through the given point. So we have an equation, y equals mx plus b. We have an m value. We have a slope of -1/2. That is the only thing that is interesting to us in that first equation. We don't need anything else out of it. The other thing, we're going to go through the point 0, 1. So we have a point and a slope. It doesn't tell you what type of equation to write. But since we have a point and a slope, we're going to use point slope form. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. M's the easiest one to plug in place of itself. You're going to put whatever it says, negative 1/2. The other two are the opposites of what they say. There is no opposite of 0 for x sub 1. So this x sub 1 will just say minus 0. And this y sub 1 will say the opposite of positive 1 like that, negative 1. Y minus 1 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 0.